my lessons from the pandemic. It's quite a year last year with the pandemic for our family. When I think about the pandemic, I think about fear, anger, resentment, and then eventually joy and happiness and relief. And you all and Pastor Mary were a big part of our family and what we went through last year. Let me explain. My mom is in a nursing home in Crown Point, Indiana, and Crown Point is a city about 200 miles northwest of here near Maryville. She's been there for a few years and doing pretty well. If you remember last fall, pre-vaccination with the pandemic, we were being told that if you were over 70 and you had health problems, if you had some pre-existing health conditions, your chances of survival went way down. Don and I are both over 70, and we both took precautions. We were both afraid for each other, making sure, none of us came in contact with anybody who could pass along the infection. Very much afraid that if either one of us got the infection, it would be deadly. It would be terrible. During this time frame, with this going on, I got a call from my brother. My brother lives about 5 miles from my mom up in Cedar Lake, Indiana, and it was the call we never wanted to hear. Mom had the COVID, and mom at the time was 99 years old, very frail, in pretty good health overall, but she had health conditions. And Brian, my brother, who and his sister and his wife Lynette, um, two angels that have been there for mom all along and helping to take care of mom, said they were moving her down to the isolation unit at the nursing home, and she would be isolated and in something called specialized nursing. Her only symptom at that time was something called a low saturation level for oxygen. So, as Brian explained it, they were going to put these two tubes up her nose to give her oxygen, move her down to this unit where she would be in isolation and hopefully not get any worse. Um, I said, why is she there? I said, why are they keeping her there? Why don't they move her to a hospital where they can really take care of her? Well, the hospitals were full and her symptoms weren't bad enough. And I just didn't understand this. I was very upset at the time and very angry. How did this nursing home that we were paying all this money to let her come in contact with somebody with COVID? How did she get it? She shouldn't have got it in the first place. It's their fault. What about the hospital? Why won't they take her in? It's almost like the hospital saying, we can't handle her until she's too sick to recover, and then we'll take her in. I was angry at the hospital. I was angry at the nursing home, and I was angry with God. How could He let this happen to my mom? She's had arthritis all of her life, but the last 20 years have been especially painful for her. She can't even get out of the bed to the wheelchair without assistance and without pain. She didn't deserve this. This shouldn't be happening to her. And I was frustrated and angry and fearful. So I went to the most important person in my life, my wife Donna, and we both prayed. And Donna tried to reassure me and tell me that mom was strong. She'd fought off disease and problems before, and she could handle this. But I was still afraid, and I just didn't have the faith that I needed at that time that she was going to recover. So I called a friend. I called Pastor Mary, and she reassured me that she knew people that were older and had recovered, and I needed to have faith, and I needed to, continue prayer for her, and that she would pray for mom, and she would pass that all on to you guys, and the congregation would pray for mom as well. So I started to feel a little bit more reassured. But every day when I turned on the TV, there were these numbers on the side of the screen of how many people died that day. And the person on TV would always, the doctors and such, would always tell us that the majority of these people were older. And if you were older, you had to be especially careful. And as much as I wanted to believe, she's 99 years old. I mean, how many 99-year-old people survived this? I was still afraid, and I was somewhat better, but I just didn't think this was going to work out. Um, then the phone call came that changed everything. My wonderful brother and his wife said, "We're going to have a birthday party for Mom on Christmas Eve, which was her birthday." And I thought, birthday party? You can't even go in the place. I mean, she's in an isolation ward. She's on the first floor, but how are we going to have a birthday party? The next thing I knew, I went up for this birthday party on December 24th from here, and Brian, my brother, had assembled a cop he knew, and all of her friends came in cars decorated. We had signs, we had balloons, and we were all in a line behind the police car. Lights going, siren, and we drove the 5 miles from Brian's house up to the nursing home. She's on the first floor. They had her kind of move near a window in a wheelchair with the shade up, of course, and the window partially up, and her covered in a blanket. It's about 20 degrees, and this procession of 35 vehicles leading with a police car with signs being held up and balloons out the window and horns honking. We all waved at Mom on her 100th birthday. After a trip or two around the place, we all got out and we walked over there. And Lynette, bless her heart, had signs made up that said, "Happy birthday, Marty, 100th birthday." And many people had signs and balloons. And the window was partially open. We got as close as we could. And we sang hymns and we prayed. And I could see Mom's lips moving. She was trying to sing along with us. We couldn't hear her, but she had a smile on her face. She was frail. She lost 11 pounds since being transferred there. But she had this aura about her that I just knew things had changed. I knew she was going to recover. We went up to the window one by one, and we had our signs, and we relayed our happy birthday. My wife sent a carrot cake in to her, which was her favorite cake, and people sent cards in. You could go to the front desk and give them stuff, and they would take it back. And so she had cards, she had presents, she had cakes, and there was a long line of people. And we went up to the window one at a time and wished her happy birthday, and she was smiling and waving. It was such a great time for her. It was amazing. And something happened at that time, and I just knew that everything was going to be all right. My faith had been renewed, and I should have paid attention to, from the beginning. I looked up Psalm 56:3, when I'm afraid I put my trust in you. I didn't until that time, until I knew whatever happened, God was going to take care of her, and I felt like she was going to recover, but whatever happened, God was going to take care of her and us. And you guys were all praying for her every week, and Mary was every week, and I just felt that support. After this event, she gradually recovered, and she never got worse. She didn't gain any weight, but she stabilized, and they moved her upstairs back to her room. It was a couple months later. It took a while, but she went back to her room. We still couldn't visit. We still couldn't see her, but we did some Zoom calls and stuff, and I felt close to her, and I felt so grateful to all of you and to Mary, and for being with us at that time, and for praying for us and helping her to recover. And it was like a miracle. I from what happened in October to that first phone call to the party and then to her recovery, just seemed unbelievable. And I'm just so grateful for everyone and for everything that happened. Thank you all.